Good morning. It is Friday, and it's time once again. Always seems to be that time for relaxing painting with Dice and Dungeons. This is not what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to show these because I think they're pretty cool. But first, I've been mentioning many times that we have been making a lot of dungeon tiles, probably in anticipation of our characters spending a good deal of time in a dungeon in our D&D campaign in a sewer. These are little special pieces for the sewers. The ones I worked on were, troughs and walls and floors and things, but these, this is a bars, okay, and the sewer stuff is coming through here like that, but can't get through unless you can get through the bars. So what we have done in the past during our campaign is when our group runs into bars, we spend a lot of time, like a half hour of game time, trying to get through them, and the DM doesn't want us to, and so we don't. So it's that kind of thing. I don't know if we'll be able to get through these bars or not. I'm guessing that if we really needed to, Zoria, who is a druid, can turn into like a mouse or something and just walk through. Or if you've ever watched Muppet Christmas Carol, like Rizzo the Rat, after climbing up and then falling down from the top of a gate, just walks through the bars and comes back. So maybe that would happen, but there's always the danger that if you go through the bars alone and separate the party, that something bad could happen. And this is a special pool. I have no idea why or what, but the DM wanted this made and it's a very big piece done on the 3D printer. It's got magnets in it, just like all the rest, so the other tiles can assemble around it. Yeah. Oh, I'm not going to flip this. Nicole finished this yesterday, and as you can see, you can kind of see that she just knows how to paint things. So did all this edging and stippling, and anyway, and it's like this bottomless kind of oozing pit. And it's no doubt something hideous is going to come up out of it and try to kill us. But I thought I'd show this because she did an amazing job on it. It looks really cool. And I am not looking forward to seeing whatever comes out of it. So I'm going to put these aside. Way aside so I don't drop them or break them. And today I'm going to continue working on the Wyvern. I got some base coat on the wings last week, and this is the bottom, this is the top. And I tried some of the pearlescent paint. Nicole suggested doing some sort of highlighting on this, and it's sort of a metallic look. And it turned out to be not very good. Okay. So I'll be starting the stream by repainting the wings to cover up the failed highlighting. And she had some suggestions for other kinds of highlighting and shading and detailing. And I don't know. She was saying, that I should try to do things that I don't think I know how to do. But anyway, I'm going to get base coat on most of this today, and then worry about highlighting later and shading. Maybe I'll get her opinion during break. No, I'm not going to start the stream by painting. That would be why would I do that? This is relaxing. We should call it relaxing then painting. Not relaxing painting, but relaxing and then maybe later on some painting. She also suggested, who will like this, painting the tongue pink rather than just the red, so that it is differentiated from the rest of the mouth. And then using using inks or washes to make it look not pink. I don't know how that will work, but I'll follow her advice. She's an artist, a real artist, and I'll paint the tongue pink. I'll paint the teeth ivory, probably putting on my head magnifier so I can see them. And then moving on down the body. Yeah, trying to decide. This is, this whole thing is like a red themed kind of thing. So I think the top of the body will be red. There's lots of little spikes and horns and things to detail in later. And then underneath the body, I'll have to find the right color. Usually the bottoms of things are lighter, but I want to keep it in kind of that reddish kind of theme as well. This is hard to hold. On Monday I was trying to use like these balsa wood sticks. This is where the pylon that holds it up because it's flying. To use these sticks to try to hold it, and they will work as long as I don't bump it. But so I'll keep these here just in case I try to get on. So once again, I'm going to be repainting the wings because whatever I did to them, and it doesn't look too bad on camera, but it doesn't look really, anyway. Yeah, it didn't work. So I'm going to repaint those. Need to do a flip. Let's, here. It's a piece of a paint stir stick that I was using as a sanding block, and it says living on it. I don't, and it doesn't say anything on the other side, so maybe this is like a life or death flip. We'll decide whether you're living or not. We'll see. Nope. 3 out of 3, not living. Well, I don't know if that bodes well. Maybe not. Okay, well, only used up 10 minutes. Usually this monologue of the not painting part goes on for at least 20, 25. But what can I say? Ran out of things to chat about. It might be a very quiet sort of thing. Yeah, there's a lot of wing surface area here to repaint. I don't need to get up right near the edges, except maybe in a couple spots here or there. Looks like I need to do some touch-up with the scarlet red there, because the pearlescent paint got on that. But don't worry about that after I repaint the wings. Reaching over to the stirring thing. Not getting much vibration here. Let me see. There we go. There we go. Okay. All right. Oh, that was fun. Let's squeeze out some paint and start spreading it out. I'm pretty sure this is the color that I used. It's a fairly big brush on this. But just a fair amount of surface area that needs to be painted. Yeah. I have mentioned on this stream many times that if something doesn't work, it's just paint. And you can just get the paint out and paint over it again. I haven't really had to do that. Maybe at least not on surface areas this large. So we'll see if what I said is actually true or not. but we're getting some painting here. Painting is happening on the Relaxing and Painting Dice and Dungeons much sooner in the stream than it usually does. See what that means for the rest of it. I think this is one of those models that, there's a fair amount of detail on it, but it's like horns and spikes and things. This is one of those that's best done without having too terribly many colors up. I'm almost tempted to use the same color as the fingers on the wings, the scarlet red on the body. Almost tempted to carry that through, but probably won't do that. Here's the oops. But need to be that careful. And I bumped there, to touch that up with the scarlet red, just like the other spots. So I would have, when I did that little spot right there, I would have been, if I ever get it, I would have reached over for the little O button. Made a bigger splot, I would have reached over for the big O button. But definitely need to get at least one and maybe preferably 2 levels of O. That would become a fairly regularly recurring feature of this stream. There's another O. This is turning into an O day. Relaxing a little too much while painting and then messing up by just not being careful. At least it turned out to be the same color and it covered pretty well. And I've got way too much of it in the little palette there. So we'll get this paint out of here. See how relaxing the rest of this day can go. What were there? There was at least 2, maybe 3 minor O's already. The color I'm going to need for the touching up. For a minute here. And then I'm going to put on my head magnifiers so I can see. And then I'm going to paint the teeth. And I very usually use ivory. It's a little bit of a yellowish white instead of pure white for teeth or things like this. And then at some point, after I do the teeth and the tongue, I have to do the tongue in pink. I'm going to have to paint this body, and I'm going to be use this red, this color red for that. Cover better than the other. Checking my color chart here. Use the Viejo one. Let's see how that goes. Painting the body is going to be a little tricky. The head here is just full of spikes, and those are going to be dry brushed highlighted, okay, somehow, with somehow or other. And then it's got this row of spines down the back, and then that's, you know, the indeterminate boundary where the lighter color comes in. There's kind of like scales underneath, and that's pretty clearly going to be where the lighter color, whatever that turns out to be, will be going. I have to get the paint all down in there, so that'll be, you know, one of the first things, and then getting where does the wing end kind of thing here. Anyway, there's that kind of stuff going on, but I need to, I'm going to do the scarlet red touch-up. Why not? Be using this brush for the teeth. We should have painted those first, right? But I didn't get red paint all over. Try this for the touch-up. Take these off so I can see up close, kind of. This is where, oh my, okay. I have to touch up my previous touch-up. So as I'm doing this, what I have seen is that there's a spot here, just a little spot, that still has that pearlescent paint on it that didn't get covered when I was doing the covering up. There's a bunch here too. This is good that I'm looking. Then there was another spot. Little spot where the pearlescent paint is on the spine. Okay. I didn't come prepared with any kind of monologue today. I'm not, kind of run out of 60s cartoons. I've run out of television repair. So I'm being quiet. Just not sure what to chat about. We're supposed to get a little bit of rain today. That'll be good. We get these, the brushes start losing their coherence. And there must be some magic brush maintenance thing that I never learned. Get up. You keep your bristles from flaying. You get them to stay coherent, like when the brush was new. No bristle, but just wandering off here onto the side. Just can't be there. When you're painting little detail things, that'll catch paint and get in the way. So how do you? I'll have to talk to Nicole, who is an artist and knows about these things. Like this, like the whole tip of this is just kind of splitting. I don't know. I remember that being an issue when I was young enough to not pay attention. But now that I'm, trying to do this finer detail on these things. Yeah. Okay, well, now I want to paint the teeth. They're pretty well defined, which is sort of unusual. But I will need these head magnifiers so that I can focus on it and get a little supplemental light. And I know that Joy's watching one's head get bigger. The one thing I've learned, among many things I've learned, usually by making an error, is move more slowly and be careful, because you'll knock into things. You don't know where your edges and your boundaries are quite as well as you used to. So like I'm reaching over and bang, just knocked into something. So one thing I've learned is that it's very likely that when reaching over or reaching around or touching something, that you're going to bump into something else. Doesn't necessarily keep it from happening. I'm more aware that it is possible. That let me mix this paint up. But yes, as one gets older, it is really true that the sense of balance, I'm not sure if it's like inner ear deterioration or eyesight changes or what, but the whole sense of balance starts to go. And so like turning quickly or carrying things downstairs and stuff like that just becomes a little bit more challenging. But and I don't know if it's related or not. It might be all part of the same phenomenon. But like bumping into things when you're walking or reaching or carrying something, it's kind of like not really knowing where the edges are is the sense. That's what I'll talk about today. I'll talk about senescence, right? It's like not being accurately aware of where the edges of things are, resulting in bumping, and the bumping into things can have unpleasant consequences. I mean, it's not just that something might get knocked over. This came off the brush. The hair was attached to it or something. It's not just that something can get knocked over, but like if you're walking and carrying something, tooth. No, I got the okay. You bump into something, carrying something. It just throws your balance. That happened to me about a week or so ago. I was moving something from one room to the other and bumped into the wall, and it basically just knocked it out of my hand. I ended up falling, and not in a bad way, but dropping what I was carrying. It's not a good thing. So as you're getting older, just be aware that is something that is going to be happening. It's starting to lose accurate assessment of where your edges are. Paint the teeth on the inside of the mouth here without getting the paint on the red. At least to minimize the amount. Let's put a spot there where the paint came right through from the other side. Really good here, but somehow it leaked through, so it needs a little bit of red touch up. And I'm going to do that before I do the tongue, because I have to get down in there and I will touch the tongue, and the tongue is going to be apparently pink with some sort of wash on it that will somehow make it look not pink. Nikki will have to teach me that on break, because I'm not sure quite how to do what she's suggesting. That was not too badly done. That'll catch where I do the pink. Yeah, so there. Paint. Color. Putting a dot of paint. Yep. We're working on Vern. I'm going to paint the tongue pink as was suggested to me because then it'll show some contrast. I'm pretty skeptical about this. I think it's going to look weird. No, so you have to use points to name it Vern. And is it Vern with an E at the end or not? I think it is. I think it's V-E-R-N-E. But we're not going to use that unless someone uses their viewing points. Please. So, C's. That's it. Balance it on the tiny little delicate tongue. if you use your points, okay. If you use that many points, you yeah, that's right. If I bend over, I can get, like I'm reaching down, I get the top of my head right under the camera there, get a close up there. There's a knuckle. But yeah, when you use that many points, you can decide whether there's an E or not, and it's perfectly fine at that point for you to say there's no E in Vern. And you, Gem, if you had been paying attention on Monday, when I started this, the little title screen thing said Wyvern. So yeah, you do make jokes, but anyway, it's not a new joke. Although it is different because when I said Wyvern, I had put an E on the end of Vern. I don't know. I'm losing my motivation now, you know? I'm just not sure about this painting the tongue pink thing. Yeah, they look okay. Certainly at a distance, they look pretty good. You know, if you put the head magnifier on, they don't look very good at all. It's like anything else. If you magnify it enough, it just looks terrible. I don't know. It's just what happens when you make things big. Yeah, I'm just not sure about this pink tongue thing. Maybe I'm just not going to do that yet. I'm going to fix the spot on the tongue that got painted white when it shouldn't, because I thought, well, I'd fix that when I paint it pink, but no, I'm not sure if it'll be pink or, well, yeah. I'm going to take Nikki's advice. What can I say? Will you take Nikki's advice and paint the tongue pink? And then figure out, and then what do we do about it later, right? If our party is going into the sewers, which is almost certain because there's sewer tiles just everywhere, having been painted, and then these new bits that I showed you at the beginning of the stream, that makes it very likely that we're going to be spending a good deal of time in sewers. It's unlikely we'll be running into a wyvern. How can I do this without getting my head in the... there? This brush has a tiny little point on it. It's kind of long and floppy. It makes it a little hard to use, but I'll see how this works on this top, because I have to reach in. Definitely pink. Express my my skepticism of how this is going to work. But Nicole is very skilled at this shading and washing and everything, and seems to have, an idea of how this is going to work and why. So we'll just trust her judgment and get the pink paint down here. The consequences of it later. No. If nothing else, it definitely, you can definitely see it now compared to the mouth color. I guess that was part of the intent, is to be able to differentiate the tongue from the rest of the inside of the mouth. It's not terrible. I'm guessing that if it's shaded with something, will look good, at least on camera. I don't know. It's a thing to find out. That's the first time I've used this little long bristle brush a couple of times, but that time it was just the right thing. It worked pretty well. So I guess the next step is to paint the upper part of the body, and that's going to be just another shade of red. Let's see, I'm going to keep these head magnifiers on as I do around the teeth in the mouth. Okay, and then around the wings, because I need to define where they end. And I'll paint down onto the underside just a little bit and around that, because I'm not sure exactly where that cutoff will happen. I don't know where I'm going to grab it, I'll try to put the stick up in the hole there. In order to paint the tail, because there's that. So this hasn't really been used. I need to give this a really, really good stir. This is going to be a red that's kind of intermediate between the two colors on the wings. At least that's what I think it will be. It's going to be a pretty dark color, darker than the inside of the mouth, at least from the color chart that I have. And, yeah. Wow. Okay. Somehow or other, there's like the paint leaked up into the cap or something. I'm gonna have to clean that off. That's a disaster waiting to happen. Yeah, this is also a good way to procrastinate. Okay, well, there. It's not as messy as it was. Need to get rid of this. I'm going to keep these on and use the little bitty brush to paint around the mouth. This actually is requiring, for me at least, intense concentration. Because, you know, I'm not entirely sure what color. Well, it's covering pretty well, at least. That's good. And this will get darker as it dries. Anyway, the idea here is to paint up to, but not onto the teeth. That's the intent anyway. Now you can't really see, and I got the camera kind of far away, but I suppose I could bring it down a little bit. I don't want to bang into it with my head too terribly much. That would be one of those not knowing where your edges are and bumping into something and that's the view of the partially painted face of the Wyvern. I think it came out okay. Paint around these, and then I'll be using a larger brush to get in there. Need to define I'm just painting around the edges of the base of the wings. So I have to define that line before I can get a larger brush out. It's going down in the process, down onto the scales underneath. And where the red stops and whatever the underbelly color starts is something for the future. Paint is wet, it looks almost like the vermilion, but I think it dries. It's going to dry into a darker color, so the contrast should be okay. This is going to turn into one of those things where the base coat is on. It's really not going to look that great. It's going to be highly dependent this time. Shading that comes with it later to make it look okay. Okay, well. I think that'll be okay. Let's see. Start working on the other one. So far, I haven't broken the tongue off. I keep waiting to do that. I mean, not that I'm intending to. It's just that on Monday, I almost did twice. Almost become one of those just waiting for a major oh to happen. You just get it too far. Yeah, it was just hard to see, but I think I got it up. I have to get up the scarlet red and change that line again a little bit later. And it's just like reaching in from this side. It looked different from... It's close, but not exactly where I want it. This is a pretty bright red. I think it'll be good for the body color after there's a lot of just bang the brush into it somewhere. Fortunately, I don't see it's on the bottom and I can't see where it is, so maybe I didn't get paint all over it. Okay, so I've got the edges, all the edges done. Now I can work on it with a little larger brush and without the head magnifiers. Fairly fine tip on the point, but I need to get paint inside of all of these spikes. And I'm going to make sure paint is covering them, knowing that a major part of future painting is going to be covering up all the red, most of the red that I'm putting on. But it's important to get the red down, way down in the base. At least, really, there's the OO. At the base of all of the spikes on the top of its head, because otherwise we'll just be seeing a whole lot of primer. And that won't be terribly good. Basically mutilating this brush by poking it down into all these spiky areas. It's one of those things you end up having to rotate it quite a lot to make sure that the paint is covered. It's covered with the paint. Taking the monochromatic primer and turning it into monochromatic red, and then later with some sort of semi-dry brushing technique, I'm not sure what, we'll be washing this, maybe even multiple layers. Spikiness that is on there. Yep. Mash that brush up pretty well. But it'll still serve to get the rest of this painted. I want to make sure the spikes are all covered in red, because when I put on the different washes and highlighting, you know, it might not touch the areas that I missed, and I want them to appear to be this red body color and not the gray primer. I'm going to move on down and clean this off a little bit first and try to restore some semblance of, it looks like I don't know, it's like all the bristles have just decided to sprang out. So I'm going to move on down the body, holding it by the tail here. Get some fresh paint. Yeah, just get open down the body and the legs here, and the side of the legs are not painted the underside color. In fact, I want to paint the legs entirely in this color and then decide whether any of it is going to be the underbody or not. And I'm thinking not at this point. As this paint dries, because of the very rough texture of the model, it's almost certain that there'll be some parts of it, like the paint either didn't get into the little divots or it laid across the top of them. Some nice claws there that need to be painted later. So what I'm anticipating is that when I come back and look at this, there's going to be little gray spots that will need to be touched up. Everywhere. I was grabbing it by the end of the tail there. It was starting to feel a little fragile. That would have been unpleasant. That is to say, breaking the end of the tail off. I'm going to try to get as much of this as I can, and then after it dries, I'll be able to go back and see where the inevitable bits of gray spots end up, so I can touch them up. So at that point, keep rotating the model to find the spots that I missed. There's always spots that from one side look perfectly fine, and then you flip it over and you go, ugh, I just totally missed that. I don't know why that is. Yeah, but it always is. For me, at least. Like, I was painting a minifig a while ago and almost put the paint away, and then I turned it around and said, oh, I just missed the entire left arm. Okay, we're now getting to the point, really close to the point, where there is no place to hold it any longer. I just paint a little bit further down the tail here while I can. And now we need to stick in the whole bit see how that works. I don't really have much choice. This is one of those wonderful things where you can say, well, at least I haven't dropped it yet. And that's, you know, when that's the best thing you can say is, well, at least I haven't broken it yet. I need to let this red paint dry for two reasons. One is to see all the inevitable little gray dots that will show up after the paint dries, where the paint went like across the top of a little divot as opposed to into it. But also, I'll be painting the bottom, the underbelly, a lighter color. And this, I don't want this paint to bleed into it. It's almost, as I turned it over, I thought I was done, and it was like, oh, no, that whole side is not painted. This is very red. Okay, and it's definitely a red-themed wyvern. We somehow now need to... I'm just going to break this off short here. I'm going to... my makeshift holder thing here. Grab this on with an alligator clip, stick the alligator clip in the hole, and that's just going to set. Okay, and it needs to set a while, and there isn't much I can do until that paint is fairly well dry. It's very early for a break, but because this needs to dry, and I have to wait for that, I'm going to take my break like around 11:30 instead of noon, and then be back around noon instead of 12:30. But yeah, I mean, I really need to wait for that to dry, and then I also need to get some consultation about shading. Because in terms of base coating, all I've got left is the claws on the feet and the spike on the tail. And I can use the same color that I used on the wing spikes. And then the underbelly, I need to pick that color and then kind of, you know, pick the boundaries for that. But that hopefully isn't going to take too terribly long. So then it comes down to all the shading and contouring and things, and I'm really not sure what to do about that. I was going to use a brown wash on most of it, and I think that'll work, but this really is a cool Maybe you should even see it, right? I'll even put it on camera. Okay. I got some horns and claws and spikes and things to paint, and then the red touch-up. It's really a pretty nicely detailed wyvern, and it should look good. And that means more than just a base coat like this. So I am going to sign off here, take a break. I should be back a little bit before noon, hopefully, unless something comes up that is distracting. You never know. One of our cats was demanding a lot of attention early this morning. I might have to, pet the cat or something like that. Hi, old Brogger. Oh, thanks for joining in. Hadn't seen you in a while. Sorry, I was paying too much attention to figuring out what to do with this wyvern. And you caught me as I need to take an early break while this base coat dries before I can do anything at all with it anymore. Look at that. There's already, I knew there would be spots that needed to be painted. There's one already that's showing up. So after it's dry, there's a lot of spikiness to this. I'm going to have to touch up the base coat, to cover up those spots. Paint the underside, get the horns and the claws and things painted. There's another spot under here. I should probably just wait until I do the whole touch-up later. But I need to do some consultation with Nikki about I just am not good at shading things. Just don't have the techniques and the skills. I'm not good at that, and she is. So I might need to. Yeah, I'm seeing all sorts of little spots, but I'll save those until the paint is dried and then do it in one go. Yeah, I'm not really sure how to finish this thing. Really not. Because I don't have the techniques. I can do things like I can, get the claws and things base coated. I can mark the eyes, get that kind of stuff done. But to make it look alive, to make it look like it's not, like I think old Braga, you said, almost cartoonish, and that's what it is. It's almost cartoonish at this point. So, I can get out like a pearlescent paint maybe, or a contrasting color, and paint the spikes down the back. I can probably do that. Not quite sure. I think they need to be dark. I think the spikes on the back need to be dark, maybe like even a dark gray. Or, oh, I know the color. It's a really good one. It's a really red-black color. Let me pull that out while I'm thinking of it. If I can find it. Here it is. Yeah, it's good. It's really dark. It's much darker than these. I keep moving it off. It's much darker than the spines, but it still has some red in it. And I think that would be really good for the back. I'm going to do that for that. I'm tempted to use some pearlescent paints on this, just to, give it the look of shiny scales, but I'm not so sure. We've got, I'm liking it looking dark, but we've got this called red copper. It's a lot less, yeah. I mean, it's darker than if I do anything pearlescent at all, and I'm not sure how. The scaly body, the scales are on there. If I did an incredibly, is it Reaper paint these, the pearlescence? Let me see. It is, no, Arteza. Not advertising anything, but that's what it is. And it's a whole set of like 14 different colors. They're very thick. They're very thick to use. So as you can see, if you just like these color things, if you try to use them to cover something, it doesn't. Oh, the dark red. No, it's just a Viejo color. But yeah, we found they have a lot of colors. Anyway, these pearlescent paints are kind of fun to use as more or less as a wash, because they're translucent. If you try to cover something, you have to put them on really thick or multiple coats, and it doesn't level very well. But you can get pretty cool color effects by just using tiny bits of it. And what I'd really like to do, and I don't think I can pull this off, is because the scale pattern top of the body, if you can kind of see it there, I think you can see it. The scale pattern is molded in pretty well on the model. If I could just like dapple it somehow, I think it would look pretty nice. I'm not sure what to do about all the spiky things on the head. But I'm thinking that really dark red, the black red, would look good on the spines along the back. And that might be something I can do fairly quickly. And then, if they blot out, like if I get too much on one of those, I can touch it up with the red. So I might do that after this paint dries and before I do the red touch up, because there'll be a couple where the brush slips and I'll just have a blot, an uh-oh moment. But this red that I put on the body is drying actually really quite slowly compared to some of the others. And so I'm going to take my break early and then come back and do that. And I'm trying to remember, I like the color that these came out on, with a little brown wash on those. Those will look pretty nice. I like to do the rest of those. Oh, these horns I'm going to do in the dark red too. But the claws on the feet are going to be the same color as that, if I can remember what it was. I should just like write these things down. Really? I really should, shouldn't I? It's either dark sand or bone white. I think it's bone white. I think it's the same color I've been using on the submarine. Okay, so after the break that I keep talking about but haven't taken yet, I'm going to use this really dark red and paint the spines on the back, okay? And these little horns up front, I'm going to make those dark. I don't want those to be light, to look dark and menacing. And then I'm going to take this lighter color and paint the claws down here and the spike on the tail to match these spikes up here on the wings. And after doing that, then I will do touch up with the red that I've used as the body color. Okay, because there almost certainly will be needing to touch up, especially with these little spines on the back. And then I need to decide what to paint the underbelly. The underbelly needs to be a lighter color. Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's a spot there, that little white spot that I predicted would be happening. To decide what to do with the underbody, I'll have to look at at my color chart and see what I've got. I'm going to keep to the red theme. I might just use like dark sand. That's kind of a good color. It's got a little orange in it. It's better than the buff for that kind of thing. I've also got It might not be too bad. The colors don't show up on the monitor very well. I don't know how you're seeing it, but this color here, that might be good for an underbelly. It's got a little bit of yellowish in it. Even this yellow ochre. I haven't used that. No, that's just an ugly color. Yeah, I think I'm going to try that bronze flesh tone. Don't have out. I've taken out like 2/3 of all the colors that I had very carefully put away and sorted out, and yeah. You get to watch me look for a color, huh? That's always fun. Anyway, I'll do that. Maybe I should do that during the break instead of poking around on the colored thing over there. Let me turn this around. Okay, so you can see how the base coat's coming along. It's very reddish with different slightly, slightly shaded, so you can see different shades of red. And I'll be adding yet another shade of red to the spikes along the back. I'm not sure what to do with the ones on the head yet. I'm not sure I want to do those that same dark as the spine on the back. Paint the claws, paint the underbelly, touch up the red. Yep, but I do need to take a break because this really does need to dry before I can do much else. I will be back around noon. Okay, so thanks for joining in so far, and we'll see you. I'll hide behind the camera. See you in about 25 minutes or so. Back from break. Here is a very red toned Wyvern. I'm getting the base coat on, and I'll be doing next. I was waiting for this red to dry. It's been drying quite slowly, and it's still actually a little tacky. Is that I want to paint the spikes on the spine a dark red color, and I know that in a few spots so that's going to flop over, and I'll have to do some red touch up with that. I'm going to do the tail spike and the claws this color, which I think is this, I'm pretty sure. And again, that's the kind of thing where there'll be some red touch up. And oh my, okay, that's something I need to fix right away. There's a spot between the spines here, and if I paint, I can paint the spines, but there's no way I'm going to get red paint down in there. And then the red touch-up is not just from when I spill over from the spines, but also just, there's places where it didn't cover evenly. There's a lot of texture, like scaly texture, and there's prongs and things where, as I'm looking at it, right there, the backs of those didn't get painted. And even though they might be caught when I do whatever I do to the tops of these things to make them come alive, I want to make sure that the base coat is on there. There's anyway, there's just a bunch of things that need to be done here to get it base coated. I talked with Nikki a little bit about what to do with shading, and it's what we decided is going to happen is that I'm just going to get the base coat done, and I'll get those done. I probably will do something. I'll get the felt tip pen out and do the eyes. Try to do those at least. I need to do the underbody in a lighter color, and I decided I'm going to be using this, which looks really orangey, but it dries a little like to a nicer color. So I'm going to finish the base coat today, and then just going to stop. Okay, there is one other thing I need to work on, and that'll be I need to repair a monster that got printed that has a print flaw on it. And I'll do that yet. So we'll just see how far it goes. I might end up, and I'm not sure, but I might end up just ending early today, depending on how long it takes to get the rest of this base coating on and touching up. We'll just see. But yeah, there's like flaws in the red in a fairly significant number of areas. This red is the weirdest paint. It's taking longer to dry than anything else I've used. But it's dry enough now to finish the base coat on the spines and the claws, and then figure out what to do with the bottom here. Yeah, I mean, I'm just gonna dive into it here and see how it ends up looking. Try to decide, just how to hold it. This thing here is okay for really like just moving. And I'm detecting flaws in the red, so definitely needing touch up that way. Yeah, so there's a whole spot there that didn't get painted. So yeah, red touch up. I'll get to that. So I'm going to use this really dark red and paint the spines down its back. Of course, at the speed I paint, when I said I might end up early, that might just be a lie. This could very well just end up taking until I might not even finish by 2. So I'm either going to be ending up early if this all goes kind of quickly, or it might not be ending up early if it doesn't go quickly. We'll see. I'm just finding spots that I am not happy with, and just in terms of coverage. It always kind of surprises me. It probably shouldn't, because it happens with some frequency, is that just doing something like this, putting little dots of paint on the spikes on the spine, changes the appearance of the model really significantly. It doesn't take much to make something look different. Yeah, this is where, if this were really kind of a studio kind of thing, bring this in closer like that, so you can actually see some of what's going on. downside of bringing it in closer was several. There's always downsides to things, right? One downside is it's really easy for me to get off camera by just shifting the work around so that it's a little more comfortable for me, or I can reach something. So I'm taking that chance here by moving the camera closer so that you can see that I'm actually putting paint on the model and not just dabbing it, because that I could do that, you know. What we really need is yet another camera, close-up camera. This is a little bit of a cheat, but I think it should happen. Is that I could have the camera that's sort of maybe a little bit further back, okay, and I could dab at it, like but not really paint anything, and then we could have the real model with a close-up camera, where somebody who was good at what they were doing would actually be painting it, and you could see it happening, because that would be the close-up camera. There are a lot of spines on the. What was I thinking? Each one of these needs to be painted individually. Okay, well, doing this could take us for the better part of forever. There's a lot of little spikes down the back of this very long tail. And I'm only doing one side so far. Get to flip this over and do the other side. Oh, yeah, there's a oops there. This might not have been a good idea. Putting little dots of paint on what appear to be the spikes. Precision is starting to give way to expedience. Figure here near the back again. You can see that the horn on the tip is not made of the same material as the spines on the back, but it's made of the same material as those. Okay, so now I'm going to turn this over and paint the other side of these things. And then I will look at it from the top and see whether or not I got them covered more or less. Yeah, this is just turning out to be more of a thing than I thought it would be. I'm going to take a look at the little spines from different angles. It's not too bad. I didn't mess up really. I mean, there's a few spots here that you might want to put the red back on. And the coverage isn't perfect, but sometimes it's, the impression it gives more than anything. Too bad. Let me get these. I decided these, I wanted these to be the same dark color as the spines along the spine. It just looks more threatening than the kind of bone white that the claws. Yeah. And I decided these are the same material as the spines and different than the material of the claws. I made that anatomical decision based on nothing other than that was my opinion about the thing. Looking at this, you would think probably that all these spikes up here would also be this really dark red, but I'm going to wait on that until we make decisions about shading and washing and stuff. Because I'm going to have to do those over particularly. I'm pretty sure that this dark red is the right choice for those up front there. It just looks better that way than it would with that claw color. That's a fine color for the claws, but not so much for those horns. And just check the spines again. Like the tip of that one didn't get painted or it got rubbed off. Clear. Okay, I want to paint the underbelly next. Because what I'm finding is that as I'm holding this, now I'll be holding it by the wings, I guess. It doesn't matter what order I do it in. I have to do the claws eventually, but the underbelly needs to be done. The thing about the underbelly is that what I want, and I'm not sure how this will go, I'm going to use this kind of ragged brush on purpose, because although under here the scale pattern is pretty clear, you know, where the demarcation lines are, when you get back here, it tends to look better if the edge is just a little fuzzy. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? So I hope this color works. Looks really gross when it's wet. I'm going to look at this color chart again. Just wondering, kind of looking at these colors, I think that's just too brown. You know, when I'm looking at it, I don't like that. This one is actually, it's lighter, but it's actually a little better. This one's got way too much green in it. It's not too bad, but I think it's too dark. So maybe that one would be better. I don't know what fell. It's not too bad. Neither of those work. So I think it's between this one, which is kind of, it's a little darker color, and this one, which is a little pinker. But no, it's just too much yellow in it. It just doesn't look right. I think that's too light. It's kind of a contrasty color, but I'm going to use this one. Assuming I can find it. There it is. So we'll just pretend that isn't there. Your internet is breaking again. We've had off and on internet as well. You know, you start getting really dependent upon these things like internet, especially businesses and whatever, and then they don't work, and then the world comes to a halt. This particular color gets used a lot. It's called dark sand. It has nothing much to do with sand, but it's used in, I've been using it quite a bit in a lot of different applications. It gets a little darker as it dries, which is, I think, something we want. Flipped on the chin, that might be okay. That line might be okay, even though it's not where I was aiming. Use my quietness here. I don't know. Just haven't really had much to talk about today. So it has tended to be pretty quiet as I do base coating on this guy. Yeah, I think this is the right color. It's going to look okay. As I'd mentioned right after break, I'm really not sure what to do about shading this guy. It needs a lot of that, and it's not something I'm terribly good at. So I consulted with Nikki, who is a real artist. I mean, actually an actual artist. We agreed that I would get the base coat on, and then she would take a look at it between now and Monday and give some advice and maybe even some lessons about what to do for detailing and shading. Because it is not something I'm terribly good at. I learned my skills when I was young. And the skill I learned was, if you're coloring something, stay in the lines. I was very good at following that rule. So I was pretty adept at staying in the lines while I was crayoning or painting or whatever. But that did not give me the skills needed to be a successful painter. Oops. Like that scale. I think I'll fill in that gap actually. Got some paint on there. That's part of the red touch-up process. Yeah, so there's the base coat of the underside. I'm seeing, just touch-up spots all over the place, kind of. I need to set that down. Get the contours of that later when I do red, because the red might come back down onto the light brown a little bit. Your air conditioning tune-up broke your internet? Okay, by using it, by cutting the cable? Yeah, we had our air conditioning tune-up not too long ago, but they didn't break anything. That was, I guess, good. Let's see. Claws. Yeah. Claws are going to be this color. the HVIC guy was playing with the fiberbox, like he didn't know what it was. That just doesn't make sense. Maybe, when you say for some reason, that might not be true. There might not have been a reason. It was reasonless. Okay. Oh my. I'm going to have to put these on a minute. I can't see where the claws actually end on the feet here. Okay, that helps. These were just these head magnifiers were just really a good gift. I don't know how I was continuing to work without them, actually. It's my vision continued to age. Detail. As long as my hand is still steady enough to pull it off, it really makes a huge difference being able to see. It makes a huge difference in being able to see the flaws in the base coat, many of which I'm going to ignore. There's just spots that didn't get covered with the base coat paint. There's nothing more discouraging than thinking you've got it painted really well, and then you put your head magnifiers on. And discover the truth, which is that it was not painted well at all. Good. I haven't done that in a while. That being sticking my finger into wet paint. But I managed to do it there. One of the habits I have, which is not a good one, it's effective but not a good habit for painting, is I tend to use the little finger on my right hand as kind of a balancing tool, when I'm holding something. And that's when I get it stuck in the paint. This is good. At least I picked the same color that I picked earlier for these other horns. Not the horns, the claws. get the little tail spike here. So between now and Monday, I'll be consulting with Nikki about shading, detailing and shading, and making a decision about whether it's something I can even attempt or just leave to her. She'll probably say, oh, you go ahead and do this. You're the one who's streaming. But there's going to be, obviously a lot. It looks really, I'll just say it's nicely colored between the lines, but that's about all you can say for it. How did I miss that spot? Wow. One bit of shading I'll probably do today. If I feel like it, I might just get these claws. It's just a brown shading. And then it's usually a decision about whether you want the tips darker or the tips lighter. Okay, I need to set this down, and hopefully I just need a little spot of that dark red, that really dark red. Because as I was looking through my head magnifiers, very, very obvious tip of one of the spines was not painted. Okay, well, now I'm going to let this set for just a little while before I do the red touch-up. There's a lot of red touching up to be red touched up. And I'm going to do something a little different while I'm waiting for this to dry so that I can play with the red touch-up. Yeah, so there's a box and you don't know what's in the box, so what do? You just open it up and you say, oh, look, there's little wires. I wonder what this wire does. There's only one way to find out. Oh, I wonder what just broke. Yeah, that kind of thing. Open the box. Everybody will tell you that. I'm gonna keep Vern here. Vern is upside down while Vern is drying, because if I flip it over, then the tongue and the claws are bumping up against the surface, and I don't want to break the tongue. So what I'm going to be doing while that's drying, camera here. I don't know what this is, but I am told that this is a classic Dungeons and Dragons monster. Okay. And that it needs to be, when it is painted, when it becomes painted, that it needs to follow a specific pattern. So I'm going to be getting some screenshots that'll either appear up here on my screen maybe, or more likely I'll just print it out so that I can refer back to it. But it's supposed to tell me what colors it needs to be painted. And this one is, I mean, the detail on it is coarse. There's spikes. I don't know if those will be teeth or spikes. There's these things. But I'm guessing that it's the shading part that's, going to be important to make this thing look lively. So I'm going to move Vern out of the way here. But you can see that when this was printed, it has this blob on it, right? And that blob is apparently not an integral part of the model. So I'm going to use some X-Acto knives and some files and some sandpaper and make that go away. And this, well, I'm waiting for that to dry enough so that I can do the last touch up of the red of the base coat. And I'm going to get this done because I might start working on it as early as next Monday. Now, what I don't have that I need to have are the needle files, which are in the submarine part box. So I'm going to have to go off screen again. I know how much everybody misses me when I'm gone. But you can look at this guy, and I'll be right back. My collection of, I'll move this back up a little bit so I have some room to work with. And I can flop this around. Look, I can make you all nauseous. Cool, huh? There. So I'm going to be trying to take this off and contour it then to match the rest of it. And this plastic is fairly hard. So I need to be, and it, see that? It like breaks. It's, I discovered this in a very bad way with one of the other models where I just broke a chunk of it off. And by doing this, maybe, it'll just break off where it's supposed to, but it's more likely that it'll create like a divot or something. Anyway, I'm trying to get some of the larger pieces out of the way quickly, and then I can get the files out and file the rest of it down. But this is a cool model, and it'll just take a long time to try to do another one. So the PLA on the printers behind me, that is much softer, and so it's easier to work. I mean, it's easier to do this with it, but anyway, why not do this on the stream? It has to be done. And I need to get this fixed. There's one that's half round that's probably still in the box. I didn't grab it. So I'm just going to start filing at this. making plastic dust as I try to get this molded down onto the rest of the model. This could take a while, which is good, because I've got like an hour left and hardly any painting left to do. As I discovered with the submarine, if you've been watching Submarine Wednesdays, none of those parts fit, and almost all of them need to be filed and sanded, just either to get rid of mold marks or flashings, or to get them to fit together right. So I've been doing a fair amount of sanding and filing on the submarine. This is pretty much the same sort of thing, except it's just one part instead of dozens. These trifocals just don't work. The only, if you've ever had them, even bifocals, there's this little spot on the bottom of the lens for up close, which is why when you see people reading with bifocals, they're always looking up through the bottom of their lenses like they're holding the thing they're reading down here, because that's the only spot on the glasses that focuses. Doing this like this, looking up and down at the same time. No, not comfortable. Fortunately, I'm nearsighted enough that this is more or less in focus. Much better than with the glasses, anyway. There's a lot of this plastic on here. I don't want to be too aggressive because I don't want to just dig a divot into it, but on the other hand, there's a lot of material to be removed. So this isn't relaxing painting. This is relaxing filing. Fixing a mold flaw. On whatever this beast is. I've been told its name, but I can't remember. Ooh, do you remember what this is? So while I'm doing this, I can talk about Dice and Dungeons. I do that on the stream with some regularity. Dice and Dungeons is actually a group of friends and relatives who got together well over a year ago now to play a Dungeons and Dragons campaign created by our dungeon mistress, Alexis. And it's a wonderful campaign in a hugely complicated world, expansive, imaginative, manipulated a little bit to match our characters. Not manipulated, modified. So there are 3 of us plus the DM and an NPC companion who just is really helpful in balancing in some of our battles, which we seem to be getting into more frequently lately. There's a lot here that just needs to come off, and I don't want to cut it off because this stuff is brittle. And if I use the X-Acto knife on it, there's a really high likelihood that all I'll end up doing is creating a divot in the model, which isn't necessarily bad. I've got some plastic putty that I could use to fill it in and then sand it down. This stuff is both hard and brittle, which is not an uncommon combination of things. You know, I've been working at this now for about 5 minutes, and what I can say is that there's less of it there than when I started. You know, there's that to be said. In fact, in some places, I want to break off the teeth. You know, it's starting to get close to where I want it. Anyway, we started playing Dungeons and Dragons well over a year ago. The campaign continues. We decided to stream it, and the streaming happens 3 Sundays a month at 2 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time with a live chat. And you can also catch episodes after they streamed. You can catch them on YouTube. There's a YouTube library of all of our episodes right from the very, very beginning until the latest one. And they also appear on a podcast, which works for us because there's just a lot of dialogue going on as we try to keep the stream interesting for people who want to observe it. So there's not too much silence. There's decent background music, just like there is relaxing painting here. And the campaign is just a lot of fun. I think that if you like Dungeons and Dragons, or if you're not sure about it, I think you might want to just check out an episode or two. We have some episodes have combat. You know, not all D&D is about combat all the time, but we have that. We have encounters that are dangerous, and we need to keep our health above nothing while beating back, sometimes non-lethally, those that are attacking us. And this is getting closer to the surface that I want, and so I need to, there's still a lot there, but be a little more careful about it. Anyway, that campaign is coming along pretty well, and what happened was that we were playing on a 1 inch by 1 inch grid, and then we purchased some minis to represent us, and that made it a little more lifelike. And then at one point decided, 3D printing is fun, let's give that a try. And so got a 3D printer and eventually made dungeon tiles. The first ones were, not very much. There were some pillars and some walls. We played around with different ways of arranging them and connecting them. And that all became more and more sophisticated. Now we have very sophisticated dungeon tiles that I've demonstrated here on the stream a couple of times, and would do again if I weren't so busy using a needle file on this, whatever it is. Anyway, the dungeon tiles became more and more complex. And then we started painting them and tried different painting techniques and washing techniques and different ways of connecting the tiles. Now we use ball magnets in the bases, and those work really well. Again, I've demonstrated that on the stream before, and I would do it again. Maybe I will when I'm done with this. I'm getting closer to being finished. Yeah, I've got rosin dust here, official rosin dust. Yeah, and now it's getting so that there isn't really a seam there. Okay, we're getting nice continuity between what the bottle should be and this block that was attached to it. Anyway, as I was saying, we started producing dungeon tiles and painting them. And our DM, who's always, in tune with what's going on the internet, unlike me, who isn't, said, people watch streams of people painting. And I said, you got to be kidding. And she said, no, I'm not kidding. This is a real thing. Why don't we stream the preparation of our dungeon tiles? Since we're doing it anyway. I mean, we're not streaming it anyway. Since we're painting anyway, regardless of whether it's streamed or not, what is it? So we have this really, we have a really nice studio. I forgot to level up. Man, I need to do that yet today. Seriously, I can't believe it. We've leveled up. And that's a really important thing, and I don't know, just got distracted with other things in life and haven't redone my character. And that needs to be done today. Contour is coming out okay. Pretty nice. Just need to get the other side now. Thanks for reminding me. Wow. That would have been awful. Yeah, anyway, so yeah, we play Dungeons and Dragons, and my character leveled up, and I haven't done anything. And in our improv session, when we record the leveling up, is the highly dramatic moment of rolling for hit points. No, the last time I did pretty well. The time before that, let's just say 1s and 2s are pretty common among my rolls. I think I get a plus D8 hit points. And since my character is kind of like the combination of fighter and tank, those health point things, those are important. I don't know what else I might get. Okay, this I need to, this is getting really close. At this point, need to get a slightly damp paper towel and wipe it off so I can see how it looks. Wow, okay. I have to say I did a really good job on this. Other than the slight color difference between the raw plastic and the parts here that had been primed, you could hardly tell that there was a thing on it. What I probably should do, and this has to be done with some subtlety, is that there's these little grooves in it. You can see these kind of ripples. Those kind of ripples are lost here. I'm not going to be able to really replicate those very well, but I've got the contour down. Yeah, can't feel any spots. Okay, well, this is now, I might need to touch up the priming on that a little bit. Certainly need to dust it off. But that blob that was on the back of the tail there is literally turned to dust. It's just everywhere. So that'll be some cleaning up to do. But yeah, that turned out okay. I'm glad I did that now, because then I can work on that potentially on Monday, depending on how this Wyvern goes. Okay. Get these needle files out of the way. Clean this up a little bit. I'll need those for Submarine Wednesday. These away so I don't cut my finger off. Put them in a place where somebody else will grab them and cut their finger off. It's over. I haven't knocked too much over today. I've still got like at least a half hour of it. Yeah, I still have some opportunity to have a major O. I've only had like 5 or 6 minor OOs yet today. Those. Okay, I'm looking at this. These are not a feature. These are flaws. I'm just finding some opportunities for improvement here. There are a couple of little spots on here that I thought were maybe like spines or something, but they're just little flaws. Okay, I'm going to put this away. Be right back. All right. Now I need to do red touch-up. That is with this paint, this color. And there's just a lot of it all over the place, little spots that were missed, little brush strokes that were hit and missed, and I'm going to put these on so I can see them a little better. And I'll use a little brush, and I'll just be poking paint at little spots. After I'm done with the red touch-up, we'll be ending a little bit early today, because there won't be really enough time left to do anything significant in terms of shading or detailing. And as I've said before, I'm not really sure what or how to do that, because I'm not that skilled at it, so I need Nikki's advice. So I'm going to do a little heads down thing here, get out the little bitty brush, and do a touch-up using this flat red paint. And then did I lose? Oh, there it is. Keep misplacing that. Magnifier things just let you see all sorts of little minuscule flaws. normal vision. These are like 2x. Tend to use this level of magnification most often. I'm not sure, probably partially because it's right in the middle. There's five magnifiers, levels of magnification. This is right in the middle, so I said, oh, let's just use the middle one. Why not? I'm going to be quiet here and you can listen to the music. I'm assuming the music is playing. It's a little meter thing here that tells me if it's playing or not. Can't see with these on. Can't see with these off. Yep, music's playing, or at least the counter is saying it is. Let me move this down a little closer to the model again. If I can keep this on camera, you have at least some sense of what I'm doing here. Which is fixing obvious flaws. Obvious flaws are like knuckles that didn't get painted. You know, just spots that are missing paint altogether. Boundary lines that are in the wrong place or are ragged. These things I'm doing to fix the base coat in anticipation of being able to hopefully do some detailing and shading to make this thing look a whole lot less monochromatic and more interesting and lifelike than it does now. I think these are good base colors. I think they're, you know, the boundary lines and the painting, all of that is all pretty adequate. Done adequately. That is my standard. I want to get things done adequately. And so I'm getting this to the point of adequacy. The artist, Nicole, aka Zoya Ansul, our changeling druid. Give me suggestions and maybe even some lessons about what to do with this model. So the nice thing about the submarine model, even though some of the painting is really arduous, the detail is difficult. Anyway, the thing about that is that it's there is no shading. It's just all monochromatic. It is designed to be somewhat cartoonish in that it's giving the impression of being a nuclear-powered submarine from the 1960s. Whereas this is supposed to look like threatening and lifelike and dynamic. And going from this to that, going from having a nicely done, keeping the colors between the lines, to something that's threatening and dynamic, you know, that's a whole nother story. A little bit surprised there aren't more spots up here on the very spiky head. At least in the spots that I can see. Anyway, I'm going to finish the red touch-up. And that's pretty much all I'm going to be doing today on the stream. And then deferring until Monday, where I'll either be trying to make this thing come alive without messing it up, or I'll be working on that other monster that I don't remember what it is. To be very specifically done. It is a type, an archetype of a DnD creature. And I need to level up my character, Ulseth Ralph, the Furball Fighter, is... I don't know. I don't know what I get at level 7. Be finding out. Hopefully something that will be effective in combat. Maybe an extra attack. Maybe some extra armor points. Hopefully it'll be something useful and not like, oh, now you can make better pottery. That wouldn't be helpful at all. I mean, not unless we ran into like an adversary that said, oh, you do pottery. Oh, I'm sorry that I attacked you. We have so much in common. Let us discuss the different qualities of clay. It hasn't happened yet. That should. Let's put my finger on something I shouldn't. This is one of those, it looks fine from one side and then I flip it over and it doesn't. As I'm doing this, touching up on this, around the spikes on the tail here. Trying to decide what needs to be touched up and what is already at the adequate level of adequateness. Adequity? What would that be? Adequity doesn't sound quite right, but it doesn't sound wrong either. To say I kind of like the way this base coat came out. I like the 3 different reds are just different enough from each other that they are interesting without clashing. And the bottom color that I kind of what's called dark sand is, I think, adequate as well. seeing some little spots on the wing spines. I might pull out that this scarlet red and do some little touch up on those as well. Okay, so unless I'm missing something big, and I might be, that's always a possibility. Pretty much done with this touch-up. Get out the scarlet red, which is the color of the wing spines, one of which I just painted on by flipping my brush around. Nicely done. Oops, that was an uh-oh, definitely an uh-oh moment. Had gotten pretty far along without having an uh-oh there, but nope, couldn't hold back. Had to uh-oh there. To get out the scarlet red, I'm just going to handshake it. I'm just getting a tiny little dot. There's a tiny little dot of it here earlier, so I'll put this tiny dot there next to the other dot. We go around it. Do some little touches up. Our kind of boundary issues again. Where does one start and the other one end? I'm not going to mess with those very much unless it's really obvious. I mean, there's one there that's pretty, it really needs to be fixed. We're looking for spots that either didn't get painted or the paint, something got on it, or anyway. Great spots, basically. And take a look at the top here. The top is kind of important because it shows little points of paint on to achieve adequacy. Spot I'd seen before. Glad I found it again. Kind of amazing. I kept it on camera. Okay, I'm just done with this now. And I'm going to blow off that piece of dust. Or, since it's not moving anymore, paint over it. Okay. So let me set this down upside down so I don't break off any of the little delicate bits. Take these off. Turn off the supplemental lighting. Clean the brush a little bit, and then talk about what's happening next. Having achieved adequacy, except for some spots here on the bottom that I am now seeing were not adequate. There was one up here somewhere. It's really obvious, but no, I'm not seeing it. So I don't know what's up with that. Declaring this now adequate, and I'm not going to mess with it or even look at it anymore. I'm just going to say it is adequate. Yeah, I was saying Dice and Dungeons. We started printing dungeon tiles on the 3D printers. The dungeons got more and more elaborate. I'm going to show you some because they're really cool. This guy is going to move aside a little bit. Just show them to you. Not, these aren't finished because they haven't been washed. So they look pretty flat. These things get a dark gray wash on them, and then they really kind of come alive. But the cool thing is that underneath this panel here, move this up so you can see what's going on, are ball magnets in the corners, and the ball magnets stick to each other. And so there's different ways of attaching these. You can put clips in here, and you can clip them together. We did that initially, and it worked okay, but it was hard to take them apart and rearrange them. And so discovered the ball magnet sort of thing, and that lets you don't have to have a metallic surface. You can do it on any surface. They attach to each other, and you can just move them around. And they hold well enough so you can move them like this, but they come apart easily enough so that you can do this sort of thing. Okay? And so if you get a lot of these, you can rearrange them really easily. We even rearranged them once during combat. There was a mimic dungeon which kept rearranging itself, which was a pretty cool way of using the feature of these dungeon tiles. And so we have like the one up there, set pieces that's got a necromancy pool in it. And the latest group we've been working on are sewer tiles, and we'll probably be seeing those on the stream sooner than later. Anyway, this is the kind of thing we started doing when we originally started streaming Relaxing Painting, because we were painting these for our D&D campaign in that stream, and so that's how Relaxing Painting with Dice and Dungeons really got going. We do minifigs, I do dungeon tiles, and then more recently, I ran out of dungeon tiles and minifigs, and so started doing some other models from when, just kind of a nostalgia thing. And one of those was a 1960s cutaway Renwell submarine, and so now I've been given permission to have a regular Submarine Wednesday, on which I continue to work slowly but surely. Don't call me Shirley. That cutaway submarine model. Anyway, there is a base-coated Wyvern. I think the base coating looks pretty good. Even the face is not too bad. Oh, I thought I was going to put eyes on. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm getting a little bit tired and not likely to, I'm more likely than not to miss the spot and have eyeballs in the wrong place. I do that just with a little itsy pointed felt tip pen. So, Monday, I'll either be coming back to attempt to detail and shade this to make it look good, or work on that other monster that I fixed earlier, where I got the printing flaw fixed. Is that? Oh, come on. Be dust. No, seriously. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm not done. What can I say? Is as I'm looking at this, there is a spot there, an obvious nasty spot of right at the top of the wing that needs to be touched. I was hoping it was like a dust speck, but it's not. There's another one there. It's always the danger of looking at things from a different perspective. Is that sort of need to do yet one more thing. And then what you do when you're fixing that is you get it on the adjacent surface and mess that up. Yep, so I'm not going to be ending as early as I thought I was. And I accomplished most of what I was hoping to get done. So that thing's base coated. I'll get some instruction and some ideas about what to do with it to make it look like it's not just colored within the lines. And either on Monday I'll either be working on this again or on that other monster, depending on how that goes. Next week we run up against, here in the States at least, Memorial Weekend, which is a 3-day holiday weekend that a lot of people turn into a 5-day holiday weekend, extending it on either side onto Friday and Tuesday. So I will not be doing Relaxing Painting with Dice and Dungeons a week from now, next week Friday, or the Monday after, or probably the Wednesday after that either. I'll be missing a Submarine Wednesday and 2 of these streams because of that weekend. Because, people are doing long holiday weekend stuff instead of Dungeons and Dragons. So, Relaxing Painting with DnD, thanks you all for watching and listening. If you can, become a follower. If you can, become a subscriber. If you can, go to patreon.com/diceanddungeons and consider becoming a patron. Any support, including just watching, viewing, views count, followers count, subscribers count. That all helps us continue our enjoyment. You can't really call it, I can call it work. For me, it's almost like having a job again. But yeah, just helps Dice and Dungeons keep along. So again, follower, subscriber, Patreon, I am tired. Yes, patreon.com/Dice and Dungeons. Excuse the lack of articulation there. This is my adequately done base coat on the Wyvern, named Vern with no E at the end, Vern. Reddening teeth. Yes, doesn't fall over, yay. See you on Monday. Again, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, except for the holiday weekend coming up here in the States next weekend. Not this weekend, but next weekend. 10 until 2, more or less, on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Relaxing Painting with Dice and Dungeons. That's Eastern Daylight Time. Thanks again, and see you Monday.